beauty after beauty becomes victim after victim, added to an ever-growing harem of horror for the embalmer.
You are even more lovely than you were in the other life.
An underground hell somewhere beneath beautiful ancient Venice, which many come to see and admire. Among them, this group of young travelers, some of whom will remain never to be seen again, except by the embalmer.
The intensity of this scene does not permit us to continue it at this time.
Monster of the deep, with a blood-chilling pattern for murder, submerging with his victims into the fathomless canals which interlace the city.
Give me that Drea.
One of them hides the grisly secret of a madman. The secret that is finally exposed in a flood of action, terror, and suspense that spell the embalmer.
Hello, my fiends. This is Bleak Sunday.
Bleak Sunday.
Bleak Sunday.
Bleak Sunday.
Bleak Sunday.
Bleak Sunday.
How much shock can you take? It will haunt you forever. From the depths of evil comes a diabolic killer of beautiful women. The vampire's coffin. See a vampire's body stolen from its tomb. A psycho killer removes the stake so the vampire can again prey on beautiful women. It's in the vampire's coffin. And to complete a double night of horror, a monster's nightmare of terror, turn loose in a fight to the death. The robot versus the Aztec mummy. They will bring you a night of terror. We dare you to see them, but don't come alone. The vampire's coffin. In an all-new double horrorama show with the robot versus the Aztec mummy. Presented in Hypnoscope. To heighten the horror, shock your senses, chill your brain. It could only be shown at midnight.
Don't be a coward.
Hello, I'm your fiend, David the Rock Nelson. Welcome to Wun-Derfully Weird, and you better enjoy this show or my devil ant will get you. Ah!
Hi, welcome
That's good. That's good
show.
job.
Is that a good job? Is it hot?
That's good job. Yeah, I guzzle my Java. Good, 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 good. Good, 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 good.
We're here with David the Rock Nelson. Now, you've been called the Ed Wood of the 90s, is that right?
And yeah, by the Psychotronic Film Society of Chicago, they gave me the name. I was given the name by Mike Flores fearless leader, president of the Chicago Psychotronic Film Society. Yeah, and then he had a zine called "It's Only a Movie." Now they got a website, but it's a psychotronic.info, and not psychotronic.com. It used to be .com, and I was awarded the best top. My monster movie, Devil Ant, was awarded top direct-to-video psychotronic film for 1999 by the Psychotronic Film Society. It made its world premiere at the Liars Club on Armitage and Clyburn, I think. Armitage and Western, whatever. It's on Armitage Avenue in Chicago. And I found out later, is a favorite hangout of the actor Ron Jeremy. And I'm saying actor because before Ron Jeremy was in adult films, he was in regular films. He did movie extra work, and I saw he was in like regular movies. Later on, he went into adult films. You know?
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
And Ron Jeremy was in a B movie called They Bite. I think it's called They Bite. It's like a sea monster movie, and they featured it in I think Draculina magazine. No, Alternative Cinema. Cinema. J.R. Bookwater and James Edwards. Yeah, I used to be in their magazine. They'd review my movies a lot. They reviewed Conrad Brooks versus Werewolf. I won't tell you about that one. They gave it a bad review. But my name was in print, and you know, a little picture, and they had an order information. If you want this movie, order it from David the Rock Nelson. But they gave it a terrible review. And they gave my Mummy AD 1994 movie or bad. Edwards gave that. He didn't even talk about the movie. He talked about something else. And then he says, "Oh, by the way, this movie I was supposed to be reviewing sucked." But who wants to hear about that anyway? I'm sorry, Edwards. I don't want to get you in trouble. You're a nice guy. I met you and JR in person at Fright Vision 2 in 2000 over there in Akron, Ohio. He's called Akron. It's Akron, Ohio. But you know, you guys were nice to me. So, but I'm still waiting for that free copy of issue 10 that I'm in. You know, with Vampire Woman. JR was going to send me a free copy. I'm still waiting for that. Yeah, but that's okay. You guys are nice. I don't need a copy of it. If you get around to it, okay. There's a picture of me chasing Vampire Woman with a wooden stake. Okay. But no. Anyway, okay. But like I say, you know, I'm like the Rodney Dangerfield of bad movies. I get no respect. Hey, I get no respect. But you know, Mike Flores, president of the Psychotronic Film Society, we started watching my movie Werewolf vs. Dracula in '92 when I was helping him move. This was before this was like 7 years before I finished Devil Ant. Devil Ant, by the way, is 4.5 years in the making. It's a broken camera. My camera break it down. It's this one right here. This is my first video camera. My late brother's camera. When he died, he was a videographer for my brother Keith. But I'm the one that wanted to make movies since I've been 8. When I was 8 years old in Park Ridge, we were walking by the Park Ridge Camera Shop on Prospect Avenue, right a couple doors down, 3 or 4 doors south of the Pickwick Theater, the historic Pickwick Theater. Now it's about almost like 90 years old or 100 years old, I don't know. And they start showing movies now. They opened it up, they fixed it up, and so. But I come up to my dad. I said, "Dad, can you buy me that movie camera so I can make monster movies?" Now it's a Starbucks. It's a Starbucks now, but it used to be a Park Ridge Camera. And it was $35 for a movie camera, 8mm. This is back 1964. I was 7 years old, actually. And my dad says, "Oh, I don't know, David, that's kind of expensive." You know, $35 was a lot of money back then. $1 would buy you 20 packs of Monster trading cards. Trading cards were 5 cents back then with a stick of bubble gum. Beatles trading cards. I got some of those laying around the house. Here's some King Kong cards, but these are the newer ones. These are like 1993 version King Kong trading cards. That's a wrap. But and here I got an issue of Psychohawks Unanimous, Joni Lee. By the way, she gave me more publicity than any fanzine. Joni Lee, now it's actually Rika Lee or Jerica Lee of San Diego. She has a zine called Psychohawks Unanimous. She does it out once a year now. But and then here's a poster I was in right here. They finally showed my movies. This is from the Portage Theater. You can see a picture of me right there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they showed Devil Ant and Mummy 1993, and I actually got paid $210 check just to show or $240 just to show my movie. And no matter how many people, the guy in charge, Dan, what's his name? Well, the guy in charge of the movies, he just hands me a check.
Wow.
So
not bad.
I think I sold like one or two videos, but there were like 15 people showed up. But the thing is, I still got paid, and I thanked the 15 people that showed up. When Svengoolie was there, there was lines out the door. Oh, yeah. You know, it's Svengoolie. See, I was handing these flyers out. I was handing out free tickets to all the shows. To Svengoolie's show on Saturday. My show was on Tuesday. And it was like a pack of tickets, and I had like 30 packs. He says you can have 50. I think I had 50 packs of tickets. They're free tickets to go to the films. See Svengoolie on Saturday, free screening of Dracula. Svengoolie, get his free autograph, everything. Meet Svengoolie, and then it said Tuesday on the third. I think it was what day was that? October 30th. Well, Svengoolie was on the 28th. Mine was on the 30th. Okay, mine was actually on Monday. So. And I hand out these people, I go, oh yeah, Svengoolie's going to be there Saturday, and I'm going to be there Tuesday, and my movie has Svengoolie in it. Svengoolie is in my movie. And they go, oh yeah. Do they show up for my movie? No. They showed up for the other shows, and the people I gave the tickets to, I don't think, maybe only one of the people of the 30 or 40 people I gave the tickets to showed up. You know what I mean? I get no respect. I'm like Rodney Dangerfield. But you know what? I do get respect now. But you know, because I've stuck with it 30 stinking years. October 23rd was my 31st year making monster movies. You know, I don't do it every day. But you know, the thing is, I like to sit around. I like to sit on my can and watch monster movies. I like to watch classic TV. I watch Svengoolie every Saturday. I'm a big fan of Svengoolie. I met him 20 times. And I'd be wearing my Svengoolie shirt, but I need to wash it. But I wanted to wear my Monster Bash Paul Naschy werewolf shirt.
Oh yeah,
today.
Paul Naschy.
Yeah, because I like that. I love the werewolf. Big fan of Paul Naschy. I got a copy of Frankenstein's Bloody Terror, which is actually a re-edited version of his first werewolf film called Nights of the Werewolf or Night of the Werewolf. But they took that movie and sort of re-edited it and gave it a different beginning. American International, I believe it was. Not American International. Independent International. Al Adamson. Independent International bought the rights to, and they gave it a new beginning. And in the beginning, it has a reference to Frankenstein. It says the ancient werewolf curse, combines with the family of Frankenstein. It says, and it combines to become Wolfstein, the inhuman clan of blood-hungry wolf monsters. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, and the beginning is like the best part of the whole movie. I like that beginning. Because Wolfstein, so I got the idea from that. I thought, I'm going to call my character, I was inspired by Paul Naschy, and I wanted to play a werewolf. So I started playing Conrad Brooks versus the Werewolf. My first werewolf movie was Werewolf Meets Tor. Werewolf versus Tor Johnson. I wore an overhead Tor Johnson mask. I met Don Post in person. He said I can wear any of his masks as long as they're not the universal ones. But any of his masks, like the Tor Johnson, Nosferatu, all that, I can wear those in my movies. Yeah, I met him in person, nice guy. He gets attacked in Devilant, the original Devilant. Oh. Don Post, I say, I'm the Ed Wood of the 90s or something, I told him. He says, oh, I'm the king of rubber or something like that. Rubber mask. But yeah, so I attacked him with Devil and I threw it at. I think he's in Demon Monster from Outer Space too, with the demon hand. I had the demon hand. I go, you are a human. Yeah, and then he says, oh no, I'm the king of rubber or something. Like, I got these $12 rubber hands. And so, Demon Monster from Outer Space is my favorite of all my movies because I got like 5 or 6 monsters. I even got a horny toad lizard. It's like a wind-up plastic lizard. You wind it up and it crawls. I got it at Uncle Fun store in Chicago. That's where I get this stuff, I get like toys and stuff. Uncle Fun, they made a documentary on it called Uncle Fun, You're the One by Laura Scruggs. And I have about 3 scenes in that, but they're short scenes, real short. You see my horny toad monster. Where am my horny toad monster? This guy. You can see this a little bit in a clip. He's going, attacking Chicago. I'm biting your head. I'm biting your head. Not like Kids in the Hall. That's, I'm squashing your head. I'm squashing. I was inspired. I used to watch that one back in the 90s. But this is, I'm biting your head. I'm biting your head. See, when I bought this in the dollar store, I thought, yeah, $1.99. I said, some kid buys that, he'll just chew on it. But if I buy it, it'll be immortalized. And even squeaks, So, I looked at it once. I said, you're going to make me a lot of money. Well, he did. I made like $300 at least off Giant Horny Toad out selling copies. And I got copies of it now. But anyway, back to what I was saying. I was given the name Ed Wood of the 90s by Michael Flores of the Psychotronic Film Society. I'm glad I mentioned that. And then there's other people saying, oh, yeah, you're not the Ed Wood of the 90s. You think you're cool because you're... Some people say, yeah, you think you're Ed Wood. Well, guess what? He even wrote an article on it in his movie. It's only a movie magazine. Or not his movie, his magazine, excuse me. It's Only a Movie magazine. Mike Flores, the president of Psychotronic Film Society, the battle for the Ed Wood title. And it mentions fellow B movie maker Carl J. Sukenik. And I've got a copy of some of his movies around here somewhere. But Carl and I got reviewed off in the same this magazine. You know, Psychoholics Unanimous, Alternative Cinema, Video. There's one called Video Maker, not Video Maker, but it's this magazine about independent video. Independent, not independent film and video, just independent video. They come out like every 6 months and every 3 months, and they talk about independent, low-budget filmmakers like us. And we could write an article and they print it. They said, write an article on yourself, send us a previews of your movie, send us a copy of your video, and you can write an article. And so you can put your address, and then people order the movie. And then Backyard Cinema, that's I think Kurt Noltemeyer, I think he did that one. I think maybe Kurt, whatever. But a magazine called Backyard Cinema. That was like I was in that magazine. I think that's the first magazine I was in. And then, so anyway, the article states here that, you know, there is no dispute. Little did I realize that when I coined the term Ed Wood of the 90s for David Rock Nelson, that fanzines from all over the country would try to find the real Ed Wood of the 90s and waste time trying to discover the real Ed Wood of the 90s. And he says, I mean, really, you know, the thing is, it's not like I'm Steven Spielberg or something. Basically, the point of the message is, I'm not Steven Spielberg. Ed Wood made low-budget movies. I'm not going around saying I'm the Steven Spielberg of the 90s. I ain't gonna do that because that's too high. That's too high. You know, even David in the Bible says, I don't attempt things that are too high for me. You don't want to attempt things that are too high for you. And another thing too, you should be yourself. Be yourself. You know, people are always trying to tell you what you should do. You know, when I was making these monster movies, people say, oh, you know, that's evil. I don't know if Jesus is for that, you know. Because I believe in Jesus. I asked Jesus in my heart when I was in the Marines. And then one day says, I was wearing this shirt. Every Wednesday, I got a free meal across the church, right over here. But that church, they closed down. I couldn't pay the bills, whatever. So they have it in another area now. But the church that used to be, now it's like they're going to turn it into like a local, like a youth center or something across the street. Anyway, like a field house or something. But anyway, it used to be a church. Anyway, I'd get my free meal there, and the girl that gave me the meal, the woman that gave me the meal, she's like 10 years older than me. We have the same age. She said, I don't know. I said, yeah. I've been saved. I asked Jesus in March. She goes, yeah, but I don't know how God likes about the goblins and the werewolves and all that stuff. And I said, I don't put goblins in my movies. I make like monsters, werewolves, Frankenstein, Dracula, creatures from the Black Lagoon. Well, not creatures from Black Lagoon, but my own sea monster. Like I'll show you that later in the other room. I got my sea monster, creature from the lake. It's called the Creature from the Lake. Not Creature from the Black Lagoon. That's copyrighted. This is my own I got it's an over-the-head generic rubber monster mask. I got it for $2 on an after Halloween sale. You know, and then here's this mask. I got this for like $15 at a convention, and the guy said I can use it in my movie. It's not a universal Frankenstein. I know it looks like Glenn Strange. It probably is, but it's by another company, and the guy said I can use it in my movie. He also has a Fishman mask, and when you see my movie Fishman, that's the mask I got from the same company. They said you can use our masks in your movies. Just as long as you buy it, you could use it. You know. So and then I got my Saddam Hussein mask over here. I am Saddam Hussein. I will get Frankenstein's monster, and I will get George Bush. I was the champ in Iraq and in Baghdad. I was the champ of the Golden Gloves in Iraq. I will show Frankenstein who's the real chump. Okay, so anyway, No, but I voted for Bush. I'm a Republican. I'm like President Nixon. I did not make those tapes. I got to work on my Nixon voice so that it goes. But I'm good at Reagan. Well, my name is Ronald Reagan, and I wholeheartedly support the re-election of George W. Bush. And here he is, right here. Here's my buddy. Here's my buddy George W. Yeah, GW. He's my buddy. We're drinking, pal. No, just kidding. No, his wife didn't want him drinking too much because, he used to drink when he was in the military. We all did. Marines like to drink, man. You gotta do something. They have a couple beers. I bet you if I went down there, I'd go to his rattlesnake. Rattlesnake round. Well, down in Texas, I don't know Bush does it, but they eat fried rattlesnake out there. And my brother went to a rattlesnake roundup. My brother Keith, my late brother Keith, who had this video camera, by the way. This was his camera, which I used for my early movies. I used it for Devil Ant, Vampire Woman, some scenes from Devil Ant, and it broke down in 1995. 1995, this camera broke down. I'll tell you about that in a sec. But like I said, if I ever met GW, I'm sure that he'd welcome me on his ranch and, you know, have the barbecue and fried rattlesnake if he's got any. You know, he'd catch a few rattlers in his yard and cut the head off and roast them, you know.
Right.
But, yeah, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. Okay. And the point is, yeah, but, you know, they say it tastes like fried chicken. But just don't eat the head. Don't eat those fangs, man. Okay? And watch out. You got to make sure you know how to kill them, because you got to grab them behind the head. And there's a thing called a noose. It's a long pole and it's got rope in there. My brother brought a rattlesnake back from Texas in a wool sack, and he let it go in the parking lot, and he had that noose thing, and he tied rope right, and you tighten. It's like a pole, and it's got a rope in it. It makes a loop, and then you pull it, and it tightens around the snake's neck so he can't bite you. You know, and then he took his knife and cut his head off. He took his like a Bowie knife. He had a big ass knife, and then he cleaned it and dried it out and shellacked it and stuck it in one of his empty whiskey bottles. So he's got a whiskey bottle with a rattlesnake head stuck in it, you know, with shellac over it, you know. It's like a trophy. Anyway, this is my brother's my late brother Keith's camera. He used to be a videographer. He was a varsity wrestler. They called him the Mini Hulk at Maine South High School. Graduated 72. I graduated 75. They called me Half Nelson. They called him Full Nelson. He had big biceps, but he was smaller than me. But he had bigger arms, you know. But then I got bigger than him. Then he was like 120. I got up to 135 because I was growing. I was taller than him, and I was doing the bench press, and I was stronger than him at this point. So then when my brother used to beat me in boxing, but when I got to 135 and he was 120, he challenged me to a boxing match, and we're working out and we're sparring in the house, you know, with the gloves on, and you know, Joe Frazier was my hero, you know. At that time, Joe Frazier fought Joe Bugner. Joe Bugner was another hero too. He threw a good right hand, you know. So I was trying to act like Joe Bugner, you know, and you know, when he hit Joe Frazier with that hard right, but Frazier won the fight. But anyway, but when I sparred with my brother Keith, man, you know, I'm sort of pretending I'm Joe Bugner with that right hand, and I go bam, I jabbed, bam, a straight right, and I nailed him. He goes, hold it, we're just fooling around, you know. Like, don't hit so hard. I nailed him, man. Bam! You know, jab, boom, bam! You know, this is the setup, you know. And then left hook is the third punch, you know. Or like Smoking Joe Frazier, he jabs, and then body, and then head. That's how I got Ali. It's jab, you know. But first he jab, you know. The jab, you set up a jab. You know. See, I still got it. I'm 65, but I still got it. Are you jealous of my body? There's a triceps. I'm doing push-ups, you know. Triceps, that comes to doing push-ups. I do it 2 sets of 25, 30 push-ups, and once or twice a week I do like the rowing. Two or three sets of 20 reps. I just tense my muscles and I breathe out when I pull, and then I inhale when I come back, and I do like 20 reps, and I rest a couple of minutes, and then I'll do 20 more. Then I'll rest a couple of minutes, do 20 more, and that's it. And then I might do 2 sets of curls. And I come down. I don't come down halfway. No, all the way. Don't lock your elbow, but come down, you know, almost all the way. You know, you want to get full range of motion. You need to develop the whole bicep. You know. Yeah, 2 or 3 sets, about 2 sets of 15, 20 reps. 2 or 3 sets. You know, you rest about a minute or 2 between sets, and then after that, then the fun part. Then I microwave or I have a bowl of chili when I'm watching The Rifleman on MeTV.
There you go.
Know, yeah, he's on every Saturday from 4 to 5. I'm missing it today, but I've seen all the episodes. You know, from the first Devil Ant movie. Now I've done 3 Devil Ant movies. The Devil Ant trilogy: Devil Ant 1. Devil Ant 2, Devil Ant Rises from the Grave, and Devil Ant 3, Son of Devil Ant.
Wow.
Yeah.
So those have been pretty successful for you.
Yeah, oh yeah. So, you know, I'm going to do it one more time. Okay. Yeah, I don't want to hit the lens, yeah. So, you know, I like to use pie tin flying saucers, you know. What I do, where's that pie tin flying saucer? I had it before. Anyway, hold on a sec. Well, anyway, like I said, this is an example. You know, I put like 2 pie pans together, and it's a flying saucer. And then this is the actual flying saucer used in Demon Monster from Outer Space.
Oh wow!
It got burned up though, but I saved it. As you can see, it's a Scary Monsters magazine.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dennis Rottennis sent it to me to use in one of my epics. He sent it to me, and I decided to use it in Demon Monster from Outer Space. It's the saucer the Demon Monster flies in.
Cool.
Dang invisible thread. There's a little piece of tape there. There's an invisible thread that held it, and I would dangle it. You can't hold it now, but it. Woo, you know, I had sound effects. You know.
So it actually got burned up during the filming.
Well, I don't want. Something happened, but anyway, I don't want. You know, you'll find out when you see the movie.
That's true.
I don't want to.
You don't want to spoil
You'll
it.
find out whatever happens. I don't want to say anything about them. You know, I don't want to give away anything in the movie.
Sure, sure.
Oh yeah, and these are my sparring gloves, boxing training gloves.
Oh wow.
See, I still got it, man. I'm 65 and I still got it. You know, and there's a zombie mask that somebody gave me. Somebody gave me this mask. I used it. Janet versus the zombie. It's like the last episode of The Adventures of Janet. That's coming soon. There's a werewolf mask somebody gave me at Monster Bash. Stuck paper into it. And I'm going to use it in my movie Hercules, Son of Herc versus the Werewolf. Well, I already filmed the scenes of that. And Son of Herc versus Gator Man, that's already been filmed. But I'm going to edit it where I play Hercules. I let my beard grow, a real long beard, real long hair. I filmed it last summer. And I was heavier. I was eating more. And I was working out more. Because I want, you know. And I was one of the unknown. I play Rock, one of the unknown sons of Herc. Or one of the unknown illegitimate sons of Herc, sired by one of the sons of Herc and one of his many concubines.
I see.
So it's like that's why no one's ever heard of me. I'm sort of like they forgot about me. They you know. Yeah. And anyway, it's kind of like a comedy, you know.
Yeah.
And then I'm doing one called Son of Herc versus the Gorilla Men and Son of Herc versus the Frankenstein Monsters. Many Frankenstein monsters. Wow. Well, you better cut right now. Oh, one more thing. I know I've been talking a lot, but I want to tell you, the camera broke down. Oh, boy. Keep dropping everything. And the camera broke down when I was filming Richard T. Crowe, the Ghost Hunter, for my movie Vampire Woman. And I was filming down at the old cinema museum, International Cinema Museum, on Erie Street in Chicago, which is about 2 or 3 blocks west of Wabash, or west of Wells, excuse me. Like Erie and Wells, that's where the Hooters is, Hooters Restaurant at Erie and Wells on the northwest corner. But if you go about 3 blocks west down Erie, the same street that Hooters is on, go down 3 blocks on Erie Street, about maybe 2.5, 3 blocks west of there, on the south side of the street, the former International Cinema Museum, but it closed down. You know, they didn't have enough. They didn't make enough, so they had to close it down. But I was filming scenes in there when Mike Flores was working there. He had a nice job there, and they'd show movies. He invited Herschel Gordon Lewis there once, and I think the guy who made Russ Meyer. Russ Meyer was down there once, I think, and then, but I'm not a big fan of him. But I do like, but Herschel Gordon Lewis. His movies are too gory for me, but I like him. You know, I like Herschel Gordon Lewis. I just don't. I think his movies are too gory. but I did see some of them. I saw some of them because they showed at Film Fest. They have some good comedy. I like the comedy parts. You know, where they're eating they did Blood Feast 2. Blood Feast 2 I saw it in Strongsville, Ohio at Cinema Wasteland. That was funny because that's a sequel to Blood Feast, but it's Blood Feast 2, and there's a lot of comedy in it. And they got one guy looking at dead bodies ready to puke, the one detective, and his other buddy says, come on, don't let it bother you. I feel like having a taco. Let's go get some tacos, you know. So the one guy, he keeps eating. He can look at dead bodies. It doesn't bother him, you know. So, I mean, there's some good comedy, and then he's eating donuts and stuff. So, you know, the thing is, there's some good comedy in Blood Feast 2, but I don't like any other of Herschel's movies because they're too gory. Yeah, I'm going to shut up. Anyway, I'm going to tell you how this camera broke down. When I was filming Richard Crowe Ghost Hunter for Vampire Woman in '94 at the International Cinema Museum in Chicago. That I told you where that is on Erie Street. Right when I finished filming Richard Crowe's scenes, I asked him what it was like being in my movies, and I go, what's it like being in my movie? He says, easiest movie ever made. And I said, a lot of fun, huh? And he goes, And then the camera broke down. Camera broke down right after the scene. And so I think maybe a ghost got in there or something. So anyway, so I had to buy another camera. I worked at Handy Andy sweeping floor for 2 weeks, and I earned enough to buy another camcorder. Oh, yeah. Oh, and these are some B-movie victims my nephew got me. It's like low-budget B-movie victims that like some, like I think it's supposed to imitate John Agar and people like that from the low-budget B-monster movie and from the 50s, And I use those as props in Giant Horny Toad Monster, where the giant horny toad, I showed you that earlier. What did I do with my giant horny toad monster? Oh, there he is. This guy, he's attacking those little B-movie. I think the scene with Joel Duane-Coop and Garland Hewlett. One of them was supposed to be Garland Hewlett, who did Brain Robbers from Outer Space. Not Grave Robbers, but Brain Robbers. I'm in it. I play as a reporter, a UFO witness, and Janet and I both played UFO witness. That's my ghoul fiend, Janet, who played Vampire Woman, Dinosaur Woman, Miss Werewolf, and the upcoming Mummy's daughter. She got like a mummy mask on. And so, this thing attacked like a miniature figure is supposed to be Joe Garland Hewlett and his wife Kathy. And so I used a couple of those low budget, a couple of these figures to be them. One of them, and I go, no, this is a giant horny toad monster, help me! I did my own voice. So I gotta, Joel contacted me. He wants to know what movies he's in, and he's gonna buy a copy of each one of the movies he's in.
Oh, fantastic!
So I should be getting a check from him soon because he's in like 4 of my movies. And this is my Gator Man mask for upcoming Gator Man.
Oh wow, that's cool.
That's when I'm gonna film with my long hair. I'm gonna comb my hair up and sticking up like a point. I go, breathe, live, breathe. Yes, yes. My most glorious creation ever, a Gator Man. I will conquer the world with Gator Men and monsters. Yeah, I will conquer the world with Gator monsters. I said, my brother made Gator Gale, and I will surpass him. I will create Gator Man. Yeah, my most glorious creation ever. I have my glasses fill up. Yeah. So there is Gator Man. I use that Gator and his dinosaur woman mask that Janet. I wore it most time because I did most of the scenes attacking people. She did the scenes where she turned into Gator Woman, and a few scenes in the backyard, and a few scenes at the old former '94 Aero Squadron. Place that had military. It looked like a bomb shelter, and you go in there. They got like military stuff on display, and they got a free happy hour, a free buffet every day from 4 to 8 p.m. Free munchies, tacos, hot dogs, chicken legs. You get pig out. There weren't a real lot of people there, but Jan and I would go there like once every couple weeks. You buy a couple drinks and you get free food. It's a free buffet. As long as you buy some drinks, you get free food.
Well, that sounds like a pretty good deal.
Yeah, we'd go to those buffets. They had a lot of those, man. They had some down here at Radish's. We used to go to that one. You'd buy a couple beers. It's $2 gets you two steins of beer. Get 2 beers for $2, and you get free food. And me and my boss would pick out my manager, World Publisher. I used to sell dictionaries for World Publishers. I go door to door selling dictionaries, Funkin' Wagnalls, and subscriptions to Newsweek and U.S. News. I sold a subscription to U.S. News and World Report and Newsweek to Leon Spinks, former world heavyweight champion. I got pictures of him holding the dictionary. I got video interview of him. I got pictures of him and me. He's holding the dictionaries. Not the dick. The dictionaries. As long as it has a shanary at the end.
Exactly.
No. You better cut that out. Yeah, he's holding the dictionary that I sold to him, and it's got a picture of me and him together. He passed away a couple, I think this year. It's sad because I met him, a bunch, nice guy. And I put him in Devilland 3. There was a scene in Devilland 3 where I threw my aunt. I met him later at a sport convention over here, and I threw my aunt. And I go, and he goes, what's that? I go, can I use that in my movie? He says, nah, get out of here. I go, no, wait, I'm David the Rock Nelson. Remember, I sold you a dictionary in '88 at Dicka City Lights in Chicago. Remember, I'm the guy that sold you a dictionary. I used to buy. He goes, "Oh yeah," and I say, "Yeah, I make monster movies now. I've been making monster movies for like 15 years." And I said, I was wondering if I could use that scene in a scene of one of my monster movies. He goes, "Oh yeah, oh sure, yeah, I like monster movies anyway." So he says, "But you gotta send me a copy though. You gotta send me a copy." I said, "Okay." It's Leon's fan. So he agreed to let me use it. A nice guy. At first, he didn't know what he didn't know who I was.
Right.
I throw some ant at it. It didn't land. I didn't throw it at him. I threw it at the table in front of him because I didn't want him to think I was attacking him.
Sure.
I didn't want security to kick me out of there because I wanted to meet Joe Frazier too. I met smoking Joe Frazier at the other table. That was like the third time I met Joe Frazier. I was at his gym once in '85, smoking Joe Frazier. I was imitating him earlier with the left hook. He was my favorite fighter. I wanted to be like a white Joe Frazier that's when I got interested in boxing. That was 1971 when he beat Ali that first time, and that's when I sort of lost interest in the monsters and got interested in boxing. I wanted to be a boxer and building my body because I was skinny, so I'd lift weights 3 times a week at Maine South. I'd eat good. I'd drink my milk. And milk has good protein and calcium. I drink between 4 to 6 glasses of milk a day, but not at once. I drink like maybe 1 in the morning after my with my breakfast, or and I'd have like a glass of milk during a break in the morning between lunch and breakfast. I'd have a donut or a Long John with a couple of the little cartons of milk, and then for lunch I'd have like a hamburger with a glass of milk, and then after my workouts, I'd have like a snack. I'd have a glass. I'd make like a protein drink with the Joe Weider protein powder, mix it in milk, not steroids, or Bob Hoffman's quick gain weight, high calorie, high protein powder. It's made out of like dehydrated milk and like dehydrated egg. It's like a milk and egg protein. Mix it in milk. It tastes like malted milk, man. It's really good.
Oh.
It's like carob flavored, chocolate or carob flavor, really good. And the vanilla flavor is good too. It's got like a natural malted milk flavor. Bob Hoffman's quick gain weight. But you got to eat good too. You can't just rely on it. It's like a protein powder. You mix it in milk. It's kind of like Carnation Instant Breakfast, but it's higher in protein.
Oh, okay.
And it's higher in nutrients. It's got more nutrients than that. But Bob Hoffman was a all natural weight trainer, weightlifter. He set records. He was a weightlifter, not a bodybuilder, but he was big. But I read his book How to Gain Weight, and I followed his advice. Work out like 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or 2 to 3 times a week. Lift weights. Don't do the same body part every day, and then make sure you get enough rest and eat good and snack between meals. And you got to get your protein because he said otherwise you won't gain weight. You got to. If you're a skinny guy like I was with a high metabolism and you burn up calories because I was young and I was burning up calories. I had a high metabolism. I had to eat more and I had to rest more. So when I got home, I'd lay down for like an hour and I'd listen to this preacher on the radio, a black preacher. He really inspiring. He'd tell you how to stick with your dreams, don't give up, and trust in the Lord, and He'll take care of your enemies. Don't try and get back your enemies. Trust in the Lord and have faith. Your faith will move mountains. Don't give up. And believe in Jesus. And ask Jesus in your heart. So that's what I did. But the thing is, that helped me. That helped me learn character, not to quit by listening to these positive speakers. I listen to Joel Osteen every Sunday. I listen to Joyce Meyer. I don't agree with everything they say. But I get a lot of good from them, and I get encouragement. And that's the thing. People need encouragement, and so I like to encourage people to not give up your dreams, as long as it's something that isn't harmful to other people. I mean, if you got a dream or you want to be a terrorist, forget it. That's a bad goal. Forget it. You need to get right with God. You need to get down and say, God, help me to love people. Help me to love people, man. Because I tell you, love is of God, and he that loveth is born of God, and he that loveth not knoweth not God, for God is love. That's in 1 John chapter 5, the first epistle of John. I know my Bible. I've read the Bible through, and now I'm going on the 3rd time now. I've read the Old Testament twice, and I'm on my 3rd time now, and I've read the New Testament like 9 times since I've been in the Marines. So, right now I'm reading about a half a page a day. Today I only read like 5 verses. I was tired. I just started zonking. Hold on, I filmed. You might have aim the camera over here. Aim the camera over real quick. Okay. Hello. Oh yeah, you can hear it. Can you? What? I was zonked. I just woke up. Yeah, you were zonked. Yeah, that's Janet. Yeah, they're filming right now. They're filming me talking to you right now. Yeah, that's Janet of Vampire. You want to say hi to your many fans out there?
Oh, okay. Hi.
Yeah. That's Vampire Woman, Miss Werewolf, Dinosaur Woman, upcoming Psycho Woman. Yeah. So, what was it like being in Psycho Woman? What was it like playing the witch in Werewolf and the Witch? And what was it like playing Miss Werewolf? And what was it like being attacked by the? What was it like being in Frankenstein's Stalks?
That was good.
Yeah. Oh, good. That's a different answer. Yeah. And what was it like playing Vampire Woman?
That was fun.
Yeah. See, it was fun. So okay. So yeah. Okay. So all right. Maybe you'll be in this documentary. Yeah. Okay. They're still filming. I'll call you when I'm done. So okay. I'll see you. Is it a Good Rifleman episode? Oh, it's the one with Mark Twain. Oh, that's Kevin McCarthy. Kevin McCarthy. Right, yeah, that's a good one. That's where he plays Mark Twain in the episode of The Rifleman. Yeah, that's a good one. Okay, I'll see you. Bye-bye. So, she's watching Rifleman right now, which is on Saturdays from 4 to 5, 2 episodes Central Time on MeTV. And tonight's Stranguli's on at 7. And, of course, Kolchak Night Stalker's on at 11 p.m. Central Time every set. Tonight's the werewolf one. So if you get back, unless you're traveling back to home, if you happen to stay at a motel, turn on MeTV at 11 p.m. Kolchak Night Stalker, it's one called The Werewolf.
Oh, that's a good episode.
Yeah. He's Eric Braeden, and
right.
his hairiest role ever. His greatest role ever. Yeah. Because my mom watched him on The Bold and the Beautiful and The Young and the Restless, She liked Eric Braeden, And this is the axe thing I used in my upcoming Hercules versus the Gator Man. I used this on the Gator Man.
Nice.
It's a weapon. It broke. And one time when I brought it down, the handle broke. So I got that for $1 at the dollar store. This is my over-the-head werewolf. An upcoming movie called The Werewolf's Brother. And there's a preview on YouTube, like a 10-minute preview. The Werewolf's Brother. Scarier than his dad. It's just a rubber werewolf, man. I don't know if I'll finish that one, but the preview's good enough. Some movies I can't finish because I want to concentrate on the main ones. That's like the next one, The Mummy Creeps, Miss Frankenstein, Fishman 2. But the one I'm working on now for WGN is The Creature from the River, The Creature from the Lake, also known as The Monster from the River. But it's got these are the trunks I wore in as Son of Herc. I wrap it around. These are my trunks. I'm Rock, one of the many unknown sons of Herc, sired by one of the unknown sons of Herc and one of his many concubines, Roxella the 10th. Yeah, that's according to the story. yeah, Roxella 10th. She was hot. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, she had a nice body. So that's like, that's Fishman. That's Fishman mask. Oh, I'm a Fishman. Oh. And these are my Fishman claws. I got my Fishman. I gotta put my Fishman claws on. So they're kind of like stuck together. See?
Oh yeah.
They get mildewy. Yeah. Yeah. I'm Fishman. I suck your blood. Okay, so So anyway, and then here's an autograph picture for Zachary when I met him. First time I met Zachary. To Grand Old Rocky and Janet.
Aw, that's nice. That's a nice picture.
And Janet from Zachary.
Very cool.
I'm John Zachary. Yes.
It's a pretty good impression.
Oh yes, my friend. Yes. And he said, I got a tape on him where he goes to the zoo. It's hilarious. He's talking. he's making faces at the monkeys and the gorillas, and he's waving at them, and he's singing. They're playing his songs. He says, "You're the cutest little monster that ever put the spook on me." Boom, 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 boom. I'm John Zachary. Yeah, so I'm back, but how about Bela Lugosi? I am Dracula. I bid you welcome. Wait, where's my blood? Oh yeah. I never drink wine. I only drink coffee. Yeah, I drink Java. So anyway, okay. Because he doesn't do that in Dracula. And I got the hand. I am Dracula. I bid you welcome. Listen to them, children of the night. What music they make.
Come here. Your will is strong, Van Helsing. Pardon me, I dislike meals. Van Helsing will explain. And then, David Mayer says, "Did you see his eyes?" Yeah. So anyway, okay. How about Ernest Thesiger in The Bride of Frankenstein? The Bride of Frankenstein. Do you like gin? It is my only weakness. And then the monster goes, "Drink good, friend, good. Frankenstein." And say, yeah. Go, "Drink good. Drink good. Coffee good. Drink good. I hope Sarah Karloff doesn't get offended by that. I've met her like 5 times.
Really?
I met Forey Ackerman 7 times.
Wow.
I met Svengoolie 20 times. I was gonna wear my Svengoolie shirt, but I wanted to wear the World shirt because it's like a monster.
It's a nice shirt.
I love Svengoolie. I was gonna wear my Svengoolie autographed shirt, but it's autographed. I've never worn it yet.
Oh yeah. My
new one with the Target. That was the night that I actually talked to Svengoolie. This is one of the rare times when I actually got to talk to him, not just get his autograph. We talk a little, but I had a nice talk. That was right after I had my blood clot. I had a blood clot in my leg that went up to my lungs, and I was telling about it. And he told me about how he had an angioplasty, and they had to clean out the vein or whatever. He told me about how they operate. He told me about it. I sort of forget exactly what he told me, but he was telling me about when he had that because he had a heart attack once, like 10 years ago or so. He was telling me about that. But this is going. We're talking like 7-8 years ago when I got the autographed Svengoolie shirt. But I've gotten like 5 shirts from Svengoolie. He's autographed other shirts of mine that I don't even wear. I just keep those in my drawer. I got like 4 different Svengoolie shirts.
Wow.
But I want the ones with the big head of Svengoolie. They got some of them out now that are real small. It's like Svengoolie and other things in it. They're nice. It's great artwork for a painting. But on a T-shirt, I want a big head. When I walk down the street, I want people to say, "Hey, that guy's a monster fan. Hey, that's that David the Rock guy. That's that guy that makes those crazy monster movies. That's that weird guy that makes monster movies. That guy's nuts. That guy never grew up, man." Like I talk to some people, I say, "Oh, hey, do you watch Svengoolie?" They go, "Oh, I used to. When I was a kid." I'm like, "Well, he's still on. He's on every Saturday." I said, "You're missing him. He's been on for like over 20 years. He made a comeback in '95. He came back on. These people say, "Oh yeah, I used to watch Svengoolie." I'm like, "Well, he's still on. I said, "You gotta watch him. So, amen, man. They're missing out.
Yeah, they are.
Anyway, so there's movies to be watched. You got to have some kind of entertainment. But one guy says, he says, "Yeah, what about the preaching? So you're not a pastor anymore?" I said, "I never was. I never was a pastor of a church. I went to Bible college, and I was gonna be a minister. I was like, I did evangelism for a while. I was sort of like a part-time evangelist, And I preached at a couple churches. And I actually got paid. I got paid $25. Another place, the most I ever got for preaching was $25. And I was down at the rescue mission. They had me preach on a rescue mission. I don't think I got paid anything, but I preached. I think maybe they gave me $20. Oh, one guy gave me $120. One guy gave me $120. He was a fellow. He graduated me from Bible college. He paid me $120 to come down to Michigan and preach at a rescue mission. But the thing is, you want to do it because it's your calling, not because. Sure, you need to have a professional to make money. Preachers have to make money too. That's their job. That's their career. So they need to make money too. But I think preaching is one of those things that goes beyond that. It has to be a calling from God. It has to be what you know. But you know what? I also want to make movies. And I want to make movies since I've been 8. And it's been something I want to make monster movies since I've been like 8 years old. And how can anyone really say that that's not God's calling for me? Maybe that's... You know what I mean? I make a lot of people happy. I entertain people. People say they stick in one of my movies after work, after a rough day of their boss. And after putting up with their mean boss all day, they pop in one of my videos and they have a good time and they forgot all about their mean boss. And they laugh and they forget about all their problems at work. So my movies are like therapeutic. And just think, if I was just a preacher, they wouldn't be watching me. They wouldn't be sticking in my videos. They might not even hear me preach. I'd be at some little church out here in the country or out there, I might get 50 people coming, or I might get a lot, I don't know, whatever. I was thinking, but you know what? I never reach those monster movie fans and tell them about how God loves them too. God loves the monster movie fans. God loves the people that make slasher films. God loves them too. Jesus loves them. And I'm think about this. I love monster movies. I'm doing it because I like it. I love Boris Karloff. I love Lon Chaney. Boris Karloff. He's on my wall. But I don't worship him. I don't kneel down and pray to him. I don't kneel down and pray to Bela. I don't pray to Elvis Pelvis. One guy's God is Elvis Presley. Or whatever. But he's good hero. But you don't pray to him. He's not your God. Jesus is the God. But the point is, but still, I do this stuff because I like it. But you think about it. But people see my smiling face, and when I go to places, I tell them I sort of pray. I didn't pray today, sorry, but but I prayed. A lot of times when I'm a guest speaker at a convention, I say, God, help me to be a blessing to these people, and help them to feel the love of God, So I don't really preach, but I tell about my movies and stuff. And I tell about being in the Marines, how I used to box. I talk about everything. I take my shirt off and flex my muscles like you saw before. I'm 65 and I still got it. Smokey Joe Frazier. Are you jealous of my body? I know you. Okay, I'm gonna shut up now. Yeah. So the thing is, I want to entertain people. I want to make people happy. And you know what? And I love my girlfriend. I want to make her happy. Like I told her, I want to make you happy. Your happiness means a lot to me. I like to see her smile. I like to hear her laugh. I do. When I show up, she got a big smile. She's always excited when I show up. So we sit and watch 2 episodes of Rifleman and have our coffee. I bring over a grilled cheese sandwich and some soup, or I bring over a burger, a couple eggs. I cook some eggs and some bacon, stick it in the microwave. We have bacon and eggs when we're watching the Rifleman or something, or whatever. Or Death Valley Days. That's a good Western show. But but we like the monster movies if they're on. If there's a good monster movie on, we watch that instead. Well, I'm gonna shut the heck. Anything else you want to know?
I got a question for you. If someone just discovered you as a filmmaker, what movie would you recommend them starting out watching if they were to get into you?
Anyway, over here I got my movies. Okay. I got my movies here. Now, you mean my movies?
Your movies, yes. If they were just discovering your work.
Like I say, pick a card, any card. Yeah, I got more in here. But here's why. I just made this copy this morning, an extra copy. Monster Tale. That's 2002. That's like 3 tales of terrorists. Nosferatu bites, Tor terrorizes, and War of the Werewolves. Nice. Rondo Adams of the Monster Bash, which I'm a guest every year. They have 2. I'm going to the one in October 14th to 18th. October 14th to 16th. That's a Friday through a Sunday in Mars, Pennsylvania. And Zandra Vorkov's going to be there, Dracula.
Right, yeah.
You are responsible for the death of Dr. Duray, last of the Frankensteins. I am Dracula. The serum he perfected would have rendered me invincible. But do not worry, it will not be long before I have all I need of that serum. And when I do, I will return with a league of living vampires, an indestructible army of the undead. No one will stop me then. No one will stop me then. Yeah. And it says, Dr. Frankenstein, your mind and surgeon skill were meant to fulfill the Frankenstein dream. To infuse life into that artificially created body, the likes of which civilization will never forget. You cannot escape your destiny. I cannot escape mine. Yeah, and then, that's Dracula versus Frankenstein. I say, I got it memorized. Because I'm going to do my Zandra Vorkov imitation. I'm going to videotape myself. I got a wig, I got a mustache, got a beard. I bought a $17 wig I bought. I spent like over $20. $25 to buy the hair because I got a cape. I already got a cape. I got that like for $1 store. It's a good cape though. This is like, it's got a big collar. I think I got it for maybe $3 or something like back in the 90s. Back in the 90s, it's a pretty good cape. And so I'm gonna do my Dracula imitation. And I also So these are my movies. Okay, this is an extra copy of Rock Rock's Monster Bash 2001. I made a Monster Bash video every year from 98 on. Every year I would film stuff to Monster Bash. I get Rock Rock's Monster Bash 98, Dave Rock Nelson Rock's Monster Bash 2000. This is 2001. You say there's a guy looks like Nosferatu, and there's another guy that looks like Bela Lugosi. That's Ron Chamberlain, makeup artist. And then he made this guy up as Glenn Strange Frankenstein. He's choking me there. And so, you know, and then I got a picture of Bob Burns holding Glenn Strange's boot from when he played Frankenstein's monster. He was good friends with Glenn Strange, my favorite Frankenstein. He kind of looked like Glenn Strange from House of Frankenstein, House of Dracula, and Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. Right. By the way, that was the movie I most wanted to see as a kid, was House of Frankenstein. But my dad fell asleep. It was on at 1 a.m., Channel 5 back in the 60s, and I was about 8 years old, like 1964, 65 about, and my dad zonked out. But he did wake me up for Bride of Frankenstein halfway through, and he woke me up for the end of Return of the Vampire with Bela Lugosi, where it's got the werewolf and Bela, right before he turns, Andreas turns back into a human. He's the werewolf, so that's cool. There's a werewolf in it with Bela Lugosi. That's one of my top 10 favorite movies. And Bride of Frankenstein is my favorite movie. Everybody's telling me Frankenstein is my second favorite movie. Return of the Vampire made my third favorite. And I love Devil Bat, and I like Creature Walks Among Us, and I like The Werewolf with Stephen Rich, and I like Roger Corman's Wasp Woman that Conquered the World. Those are just fun movies any time to watch movies. But as far as my favorite movies, all the Frankenstein movies, I gotta think after Bride of Frankenstein, then I would say Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, then maybe Son of Frankenstein, and then Ghost of Frankenstein, Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, and then House Frankenstein and House of Dracula. Those are all in my top 10.
Good stuff, yeah.
Yeah. But those movies inspired me as a kid. Anyway, the movies. These are some of my movies. This is my volume 2. I did this right after I did Frankenstein versus Saddam Hussein. Here, I'm going to show you that one. This is the poster. This is the original poster for it. Frankenstein versus Saddam. If I can get it out of the bag here. So this is my original art. This is my original art, man.
Oh, nice.
That's the original art. Frankenstein versus Saddam Hussein. Now, originally it was going to be called Frankenstein Visits Chicago.
Oh.
And then I made this to put over it. And then I decided to have... It was originally going to be called... He was going to battle Dracula, the werewolf, all in the same movie. But I was going to call it Monsters Galore or Monster Invasion. And then I decided to change it. Just Frankenstein versus Saddam Hussein. And then here I got Dracula. Werewolf versus Dracula. That I made later. This is... here's one. I wanted to have... Werewolf Meets Tor, so I took the Werewolf versus Dracula sign and I put this underneath it so it says Werewolf Meets Tor.
Oh yeah.
And that's on my volume 1. It's got a short film. It's like about 8 minutes long. I play Werewolf and my friend plays Tor. And assistant cameraman Mike Johnson. There it is, Dracula. See, what I did is I took the Saddam Hussein thing and I put it like right over the picture of Dracula.
Oh, I see.
So now it says Dracula versus Saddam Hussein.
Nice.
And when I wanted the werewolf versus Saddam Hussein, I took the werewolf thing and I put that there. Werewolf versus Saddam Hussein. Yeah. And I had a picture of a werewolf over here blocking the A there.
Okay.
Drawing a werewolf I put there, which I still have somewhere. But
nice.
Yeah, and then this is something. And then back then I didn't have a titler, so I did it with I hand drew it with a magic marker. Entirely filmed, produced, directed, and edited by David "The Rock" Nelson. That was in 1991.
Wow.
When I started doing it. And Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson got his name at WrestleMania 96, 5 years later after I made my first volume. And also, he got his name 7 years after I was given the name The Rock in 1989 by my wrestling coach, Greg Ozimek, who, by the way, starred as the werewolf in Werewolf vs. Dracula. Greg Ozimek starred. Here's another movie, Johnny Hurt versus the Monsters. Johnny Hurt was my boxing coach.
Oh.
Yeah, well, he was one of my coaches. My first coach was KJ Johnson over there in the Philippines. And then after that... Then it was Oscar Rodriguez when I came back to boxing. Oscar from Rodriguez Boxing Club in Des Plaines. And after that, it was Johnny Hurt. But Greg Ozimek, he taught me how to throw the combination. The left, right, left. Bam, bam, bam. The jab, right, and hook. A jab and a right. It's And then he taught me how to throw left, right, left. Yeah, this is the sea monster mask that I'm going to use in my upcoming Creature from the Lake movie. This is my Frankenstein mask I got. And there's Elvira. I got this for free when I met Elvira. There are a bunch of those in the hallway, so I just grabbed one. And then there's my 4-year award I got for that Monster Bash 2012 from Ron Adams, because I'm a super fan of monster movies. And here is my Rondo Award for 2019 Monster Kid of the Year, Monster Kid Hall of Fame.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, and then here's a free shock monster mask I got from Chuck Jarman of Bump in the Night Productions. Now here's the movie. These are the movies. Pick a movie, pick a card, any card. Okay, like I say, that's the volume 2. I got volume 1 with Frankenstein versus Saddam Hussein. And then this Giant Horny Toad Monster, that was 2011. That's Pumpkin Man, this was 2004. It's got 5 Pumpkin Man tales. Pumpkin Man 1 through 5. And then Werewolf and the Witch, I did that in 2007. And Svengooli's in it, Roger Corman, Forey Ackerman. And then the Rock Rocks Monster Bash 2001. I actually made like over 20 Monster Bash videos for each year from 98 to now. I got like, so you can get those. David, it's not the Monster Bash, it's David Rock Nelson rocks the Monster Bash.
Oh, okay.
And I got like 20 some odd volumes of that. It's not, and then this is my Monster Tales 2002 movie. You got Nosferatu Bites, Tor Terrorizes, and War of the Werewolves, also known as Werewolf versus Wolfman. You know, that's me as the werewolf on the right. And then I got more of my movie. In this bag, I got more of my movie. You know, I've made like probably 30 some odd movies if you count the short films. I've made like about 15 features. Okay, this is Mummy AD 1993 with Son of Werewolf. That's Janet getting attacked by Son of Werewolf. That I did in 93. And then I did Conrad Brooks versus the Werewolf. Actually, I finished this before that one. I did Conrad Brooks versus the Werewolf in '93 when I met Conrad Brooks at a convention. He goes, "Hey Rocky, you make your own pictures, right?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Because I'd like to be in your pictures." He told me that because I told him I make monster movies. He said, "I want you to make a movie with me, and I'll meet you at Fanex." And I said, "Well, where is it at? When is it at?" He goes, "Well, you'll hear about it. You'll hear about it." So I show up at Fanex, and we did the movie in like 3 days in Baltimore at Fells Point.
Wow.
Dundalk, the cemetery in Dundalk, Maryland, is a haunted. And then I went to that haunted drive-in over there in Hancock, Maryland. I filmed scenes of that for the sequel. I made a sequel called Werewolf and the Witch. You saw the one Werewolf and the Witch. This is the sequel to Conrad Brooks versus the Werewolf. There's some scenes in Hancock, Maryland, and Baltimore, and that too. It shows. So, and then, like I said, after Conrad versus the Werewolf in '93, I did this one, cool. Mummy 1993, Son of Werewolf. Oh, and then in '99, I finished Devil Ant. 4.5 years in the making because my camera broke down, but I bought another camera, sweeping floors at Handy Andy. It's like with the new camcorder, I finished Devil Ant. And then a year after that, it took me about a year and 5 months, I finished Frankenstein Stalks. Forey Ackerman on a cameo. Then a year later, I finished Miss Werewolf. In May of 2001, I finished Miss Werewolf. That one took me about 7 years in the make. I actually started filming that in '94. I finished it in 2001. On weekends, and not off and on. I didn't, because I was working on other movies too, And then 2002, I did Monster Tales. And later in 2000, that's I already showed you that. This is a different cover of the same movie. Okay, and then later that year, on Boris Karloff's big, I think 113th birthday it was, 115th birthday I think it was. I finished Devil Ant 2 on November 23rd, 2002. At like 10:33 p.m. I finished editing Devil Ant 2, Devil Ant Rises from the Grave, and I showed you the Pumpkin Man video. Yeah, and then 2005 I did Demon Monster from Outer Space. And then 2005, then 2007, Werewolf and the Witch, and I showed you a Giant Horny Toad Monster. 4 years after that, I finished Fishman in 2015, and then in 2016, I did Devil Ant 3, Son of Devil Ant, and that's on DVD. And then in 2019, I finished Dinosaur Woman. That's 2 hours and 2 minutes, and then my newest, Howl the Werewolf. So these two I finished both these in 2019.
Wow.
And now I'm working on Creature from the Lake, and I'm working on Miss Frankenstein. It's sort of like a lower budget version of Frankenstein's daughter. So, and then if you buy my movies, I'll give you, I sometimes give out these free. If it's a bad disc, I autograph it. The movies that don't turn out, I give you a Java coaster. A David Rock Nelson Java coaster to put your cup of Java on.
Nice.
When you're watching my monster movies. Okay, I'm going to shut up now. Anything else you want to know? I guess that's it. You see my dungeon, my Svengoolie shirt here.
Oh, yeah.
This is a Rondo Hatton sculpture made by my good friend John Whistler from California. He gave me that before I got
the real Ronald Award from David Colton. This I got this about 5 years ago. This one I got just last October.
Wow.
At the Monster Bash.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I got this a year ago. Yeah. So, or no, was it June? No, I got this in. I was honored on stage in June. I'm sorry. That's when they honored me. I think it was. Yeah. Oh no, no, you're right. You're right. I think yeah, last June. That's when that. I'm gonna shut the heck up now. And this is my this is my horny toad monster mask. This is an alien mask made by a good friend, Carl Hopp from Maryland, and him and his brother Ed are in like all my movies. They play the UFO inspectors. They play the naturalists. They play the vampire experts, etc. In Nosferatu Bites. Nosferatu bites him, and yeah. So anyway, Carl Hopp, he's like the first victim in that movie. He made this alien mask for me.
Cool.
Nice. And I use it in my upcoming movie, Horny Toad Man, half horned toad. DNA from a horned toad lizard turns me into Horny Toad Man. Oh, I'm changing. Yeah. Okay. And then here's the fake gator I use in Gator Gale. I get the DNA with a fake syringe. I got a fake syringe over here somewhere. Right here. Here it is. See, I got this fake syringe, and I stick it in. I go, I need your DNA. And I go, I got the DNA. I will make Gator Gale. You know? And I'm struggling with things. Stop struggling. You are needed for scientific progress, for the development of mankind. So, you know. So, okay, that's, I got this for 50 cents at a church garage sale.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, and then, okay, I'm going to here's my echo mic. Come on. I am Dracula. Yeah. You cannot escape your destiny. I cannot escape mine. Okay. Nice. Okay, I'm going to shut the heck up now. Anything else you want to know? Peace, brother.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Buy my movies. Feed me on Facebook and see me on YouTube. David Rock Nelson. Is it still going?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you got to get down the camera. Yeah.
David Rock Nelson, everybody.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Fantastic movie maker. Buy his films. I will put the information on the video. There will be a link or something like that where you can get a hold of him and get a hold of his movies.
Yeah, I'm going to be a Monster Bash October 14th to 16th this year in Mars, Pennsylvania. And oh, by the way, I'm going to be on WGN Morning News this Halloween. WGN Channel 9 from Chicago.
Check it out.
My 26th annual WGN appearance. I'm on there every Halloween since '97. Because I wrote them for 3.5 years. I wrote them like 3 times a year for 3.5 years. Finally, after 3.5 years, they call me back. They go, yeah, you've been writing us for years. Like, when can you be on the show? I go, anytime, you know. So I was on, and then that was so much fun. They keep inviting me back. They're going to have a live audience there this time. College students, high school students there. And so, you know, they're going to show my movie on Halloween morning on Channel 9 in Chicago. Home of Creature Features and home of the Bozo Show. Okay, I'm going to shut up now.
That's good stuff. Check him out.
Yeah. Are you jealous of my body? I'm all natural. I never took a steroid. I just drink my milk. I eat good, and I work out. I do my push-ups twice a week, 2 sets of 25 reps, and then I do my curls, my rowing, twice a week workout. One day I do 2 sets of push-ups, 25 to 30 reps, and then the next day I do the rowing, you know. And then I do like 1 set of 20, and then I do 2 sets of 20 reps and 2 sets of 20 rep curls, you know. And I rest a couple minutes between sets, and then I walk a lot. The walking is my cardio. You don't have to run. If running's too difficult, just walk. And get those padded shoes. You might need to get orthotics, you know, because I got a foot problem now. But I got, you know, I'm flat-footed, so I had to get that arch support, man. So I'm walking better now. Yeah. So, you know, if it's painful to walk, get those orthotics. They got a lot of good orthotics out there, you know. Arch support stuff.
Good advice.
Yeah, so you want to walk, because walking is good cardio. It keeps you in shape. Okay, I'll see you.
Peace.
Yeah, God loves you. And so does I. So does The Rock. I love you too. And buy my stinking movies. Only 20 stinking bucks, or bucks that smell good. And feed me on Facebook and see me on YouTube. David Rock Nelson. 20 stinking bucks for my movies. And yeah, Pumpkin Man's a good one for this Halloween. Happy Halloween and howl. Woo! Yeah, okay. I'm going to shut the heck up now.
instructions are to prepare for an attack by an unknown enemy.
The invasion of the milk-fed veal woman from the planet Aqualung.
Cringe in terror as the veal woman shoots Earthmen. Behold the cosmic beauty of the veal woman. Can the charming Earth hero stop the veal woman's assault?
I'm Jeff Carlson, and this is Wonderfully Weird.
Hey everybody, we are here today speaking with commercial artist Mr. Jeff Carlson. How are you today, Jeff?
Good, thanks.
Good. Now, are you originally from Peoria?
I am. Born and raised.
Born and raised, and you're still doing your thing here?
Yeah, I have family here and a family business, so I am employed in a family business, and I run my own side business out of Peoria, Illinois.
So has that family business sort of helped you in your, I guess you would call it your side business?
Sure, yeah, it's all connected. Between the kind of like sculptural, kind of creative, there's illustration and sculptural skills involved in the jewelry making, which is what the family business is.
Okay.
And so all of that stuff, even though I wasn't really raised to be in the family business necessarily, I was encouraged to do my own thing. The process of all of those things is kind of, intertwined. So,
yeah. Well, that's cool. It's nice when you have an overlap.
Yeah.
Something you're not totally into, but it prepares you.
I don't know that it existed or I created a kind of a connection to it on my own, but it doesn't really matter.
Well, you're here, right?
I just have fun.
It got you
from
there to
fun,
here,
so.
and if you can have fun doing something, whether it's a full-time gig or a hobby or whatever, I say go for it.
Yeah, I have changed my outlook on it. Obviously a job is a job, but if the last couple of years have taught me anything, when things are lean, it's nice to be doing something that you enjoy, because then the fruit of it is its own reward. You could say that about any kind of like pure artistic endeavor, I guess. But I'm, I am dealing in like manufactured commercial product effectively. I'm pushing product. So it's there's art involved, but it's not overly artistic. Fine art. It's more.
It's fun.
It's fun. It's fun
art.
It's fun. It's lowbrow. It's it's genre kind of like pop cultural.
Sure.
It's not supposed to be taken seriously.
Well, yeah, and I find that pop culture. I don't care how stuffy someone seems to be. There's usually some element of pop culture that makes them happy. I don't know whether they admit it or not. There is something there, even if it's deep down inside from when they were a kid. There's something there that sparks.
Yep.
And that's the fun of it all, you know. Everything doesn't have to be
all,
so stuffed shirt.
You know, and all of this is recapturing some kind of like analog, you know, vibe from being a kid. You know, it's where it all comes from.
I love that.
I refuse to let it go. So
I think that's awesome. Now, what spawned your horror interest? I mean,
well, it's funny. I had worked for a good 20 years professionally in the commercial art field as a commercial illustrator, doing a lot of product illustration, tennis shoes, cars,
really,
all kinds of for newspaper publishing primarily. That was my main, you know, focus. I was a commercial illustrator. When you get instructions for something that you buy, you know, that comes in a box and there are like how-to.
Yeah.
Somebody had to do that. That's, you know, at one time, you know, like all of that was done manually by hand. Or if you bought a toy and there were instruction manuals or like how-tos in it, somebody had to illustrate those. Well, for a good 20 years, that's what I did.
So you were that guy.
I was one of those guys, and one of probably 30 at the company that I was working at. And
really?
That's all we did. And then over the years, things changed. The newspaper industry kind of came and went. The market for it morphed a bit. And then the same type of illustration work that I was doing was then applied to like patent law. So anytime a new product was developed, they'd have to have a set of patent illustrations to show it from a bunch of different views. And most of the work I did in that area was for tennis shoes. New Balance, Nike, Reebok.
Oh, the big dogs.
All the big dogs.
Yeah.
And so I worked for a patent attorney, basically like a law firm that was just focusing on registering all of these patents for these manufactured products, tennis shoes. Pepsi was also a big product, so anytime that they would roll out a new bottle design or something like that, they had to have a bazillion different illustrations from every conceivable angle so that they could submit patent applications showing their product.
Yeah.
Somebody had to draw it, and I was one of those somebodies. So,
wow.
Flash forward a bit, I had worked professionally for 20 years, had kind of, you know, established myself, made a name, was doing okay, and thought I would focus more time on things that I liked personally. You know, like I didn't set out to start my own kind of like business or brand, but I knew I had side interests. Had always been a movie fan and a, you know, monster kid for, you know, probably since I was 9 or 10. So in a roundabout kind of a way, you know, like the monster and the horror illustration work kind of seeped up through professional frustrations.
Oh, okay.
And having just be kind of like boring, stuffy, dry work.
Sure.
And just wanting to do something fun for myself. It was really more of an exercise, and not really I didn't have a goal to create a product line, which is effectively what it became.
Yeah.
But only through the interest of the public after having gotten it out and just kind of like, I'm trying to think, on social media, you know, a million years ago it would have been, you know, through Facebook and some like internet bulletin boards.
Oh yeah,
you know,
things like
classic
that.
horror, classic monster,
Sure.
you know, bulletin boards, and you know, it's just kind of it's continued from then. A good 15 years I probably spent just, you know, with more focus on monster work, and it seems like it's going to be around for a while.
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't think you have to worry about that. I think it's alive and kicking. So it's sort of an exercise in keeping your sanity from the humdrum,
A bit.
you know, sketches of
A bit.
tennis shoes.
I mean,
and things of that
everybody
nature.
has frustrations in their job.
Sure.
Anything that you do for that long, you know, and
Yeah.
I don't care what your career is, you know, you're gonna come up, you know, a little empty-handed or dry or feeling like, well, there's got to be something, you know, more here. And eventually I teased it out, and it's constantly changing. It's not. I do some fine artwork, you know, I do some painting and some sculpture that's just, you know, a one of one,
Yeah.
you know, kind of, it skews more fine art. It's not so, how do I say it? It's not so, you know, it's not such a commercial product focus. I'm not producing a bunch of goods, you know, necessarily all the time.
Right.
But, you know, I do eventually like to thank Buck.
Well, yeah, you have to. You have to live.
Don't
you know?
hold it against me.
I agree completely. You know, you got to get through. So, Do you collect anything? I got to ask you that.
I used to be a big collector. When I was a kid, it was mostly comic books. And then for a while it was Mego figures.
Oh, yeah.
And then I would collect some action figures. I was a mask maker for a while, like latex masks.
Wow, that's cool.
I was doing custom work, and so as a result of that, I was collecting a lot of stuff, like research.
Sure.
Don Post work, stuff like that. And not so much now. It seems like I'm making more. There's more going out than coming in.
Coming in, yeah.
And I don't know that that's necessarily by choice. I like a lot of, like I have an appreciation for a lot of things, but my need to have it in my hand has changed a little bit, you know. But I see a lot. I mean, there's so much great work being produced right now. I mean, there are so many people, making such great stuff. If I had all the money and all the room,
right? That's the thing too. Space.
I'm a fan, I mean, I think that's a big part of it. All of this stuff comes from, kind of me being a fan first. So.
And I think that's what collecting is. You have that sentiment, that sentimental attachment to a film or a product, and you have it on display or maybe in a box somewhere because you don't have room. But it's just knowing you have it. It's just kind of that appreciation.
A lot of this material that I have made comes from, like the desire to have a thing that didn't exist.
Yes, that makes sense.
So I figure somebody has to do it. Why not?
Well, you make it yourself.
Yeah.
And you do a good job making it yourself, so that's perfect. So I got to talk about Maniac.
Sure.
I'm saying that right? Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Initially when I discovered that, I didn't know if it was Maniac. I think I slaughtered it quite a few times. I did an unboxing video a year or two ago for this particular shirt, and I think I probably said it wrong. I apologize for that.
I don't think that's totally fine.
Okay, cool. I have since learned.
That's all right.
But let's talk a little bit about that.
Sure.
How you sort of got into that, and the origins of the original Maniac t-shirts.
The original line of Maniac heat transfers came out in like 64 or 65, and it was through a company called Comograph, and they had already been established. I'm going to say they pioneered the technology of heat transfers in general, and they started out, I want to say in the 20s or 30s, through the sewing industry. So they would do like needlepoint patterns and things like that. I mean, it goes all the way back to very very early times, or different types of sewing patterns as it pertained to a heat transfer that you would apply and then cut out the fabric and then fabricate some type of garment, or you would do a needlepoint over the top of it. That's where all of it started, and so I think. There isn't a whole lot of written history about it, a whole lot of recorded history about the Maniac stuff in particular, but I would imagine that as the early to mid 60s rolled around and there was a lot of like rat think, there was a lot of really weird kind of like cultural stuff going on, not just monster stuff, but like rat think stuff and like weirdos. Yeah. And then I believe Maniac did, or Comograph also did a lot of sports-oriented stuff. They did a lot of like mascot images, and they were all kind of cartoony and kind of fun. And they only did 6 monster designs, the big Universal properties, and that was it. They moved on to other things. Comograph still exists. Wow. But they don't function in the same capacity that they did in the 60s as far as generating heat transfers and things like that. But you think about it, around that time, like to buy like T-shirts at the store with images. I mean, it was kind of not done.
Yeah.
I mean, there would be some sports material or like TV shows or things like that. They didn't generate the same kind of merchandising that they do today. Like all of that stuff was very DIY then, and then you've got commercially made printed T-shirts of any movie character or comic character. It's weird to think of a time when that didn't exist.
Sure, yeah.
This is kind of where their original Maniac heat transfers came from. flash forward 40 some odd years. I was on a horror bulletin board online, and having already had an illustration background, I think there was just a random conversation about collecting the old Maniac stuff, and somebody literally said or typed, "It's too bad they didn't do more of these in this line." You know, like, because if you think about it, you know, there's been tons of different, you know, horror and sci-fi movies and characters since that would have all made really good, you know, like subjects for additional Maniac transfer designs. Well, I took it and ran. The first two that I did of the new kind of like revived Maniac brands were Dr. Fives and a straight Vincent Price caricature.
So two Vincent Price.
Two Vincent Price ones. I'm a big Vincent Price fan. So those are the two that I just chose because I felt like, well, these were, you know, they're very, you know, they were very graphic already. You know, did a little research. You know, went through some of my old, you know, like monster books and found a couple images that I thought were suitable to kind of translate and reinterpret. And I made them and just kind of like put them up online just to say, hey, you know, like, thanks for the suggestion, you guys, you know, like this is, you know, like this was fun, or what do you think, or not with any intent of starting a trend by any means. Within a couple weeks of having that stuff out in the world and online, a licensee that was working through a store called Urban Outfitters contacted me to do Godzilla, Freddy, and Jason.
Wow.
They had the licenses for them already, and they said, would you be willing to do illustrations in that style of these characters that we have licenses for? And then they were basically, it was just an art commission, and they were going to produce the shirts and distribute them through Urban Outfitters retailers, you know, nationally. And that's what they did, and that's how it all started. That's how the brand was kind of like officially revived.
That's amazing.
It was an orphaned trademark. Comograph never registered it.
Really?
And over the course of several decades, it just languished until I came along and breathed some life into it, and then re-registered the trademark. So it's currently alive and well.
Cool.
Through my brand, through my trademark efforts, and I hope there are new fans seeing it for the first time. That, you know, like, appreciate it, because you could see the work that I'm doing now and not have any knowledge or understanding of the history.
Right. Oh yeah.
It's all, to me, the goal is for everything to be seamless and to just have it be an extension of what was done before. Anonymously, by the way, through Comograph. I don't think it's ever been attributed to like a staff artist. The original 6 illustrations.
So no one really knows.
No one really knows. I did tons and tons of research because I didn't want to step on anybody's toes.
Sure.
You know, like, and if I could have met and talked to whoever did the original ones, it would have just been a dream come true. It would have only made this more interesting for me to have a kind of a layered, richer history.
Oh yeah.
But there really isn't much history to speak of, except for, you know, the bits that they produced. So.
Well, what I like is you've done a phenomenal job of recreating that style. I mean, you would look at the original 6 and compare them to the new products that you're putting out. It looks like the same person would have done those.
I like to think I'm bringing a little bit of something different to the characterizations of the. No, I'm not just working straight from photographs. When I do my research, I'll do a kind of amalgamation of shots, or I'll try to find something unique in each characterization I do. Even with a straight license work, I'm often handed reference by the license holder, and they say, "Well, do this," but that's not really how I operate. So I'll try to find some kind of like end run around something that feels fresh, and it's not just parroting or copying the same image that you see a lot in commercial goods. So I like to think there's a little bit of me in all of the new work, and yet it's still an identifiable caricature of an identifiable movie property, or TV property, or whatever it is.
Right. Well, they're phenomenal. Now, how many properties in that line do you have now? How many characters, I should say?
I've probably done close to 100.
Wow.
Privately and commercially.
Really?
I will have smaller groups or individuals that commission work for their own private use.
Sure,
You know, it doesn't
yeah.
necessarily have to be associated with a movie or a TV show. Anybody who wants it, you know, I'm pretty easy to get a hold of. So.
Yeah.
And
That's
I
good
like a
marketing.
challenge. You know, like it doesn't something that's not so on the nose, and you know, like I have to kind of work at is more fun for me than something that's just like falling off a log. It's, you know, they all have their own, you know, charms, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I agree completely. I was going to ask you, I know they did, the Frankenstein was based more along the Glenn Strange Frankenstein. Why do you think they, and maybe they did, I don't know, I mean, maybe you did, I should say, did they ever do like a Carradine version of Dracula from that same sort of...
No, not to my knowledge.
Yeah, I was
No.
kind of
and I haven't either, actually. I mean, it's,
Oh,
you know,
okay.
like that's been the great thing about working on all of this stuff for 15 years is I've just scratched the surface of what's potentially, you know, out there in classic and in new properties. So I did some, you know, some new stuff for the Rob Zombie monsters that are coming out. Well, I've done some of the original monsters, but not all of the original monsters. So the well hasn't run dry for vintage stuff, which is nice. And and you know, like every year that goes by, there are new properties inspired by old properties that, you
They
know,
keep
like
coming out.
They just keep coming. Well, and that's the whole thing for me is making new fans. And, you know, like to me, it's going to keep the genre alive. Old guys like you and me.
Right.
You know, we can only carry so much water.
That's true. You got to have some new blood coming into the scene.
Fresh, get some fresh faces and some new interest and new ideas.
Right.
That makes it it keeps it interesting for me.
That makes it fun.
Yep. And most of the work that I do is pretty family friendly. I don't.
I've noticed that too, which I appreciate.
I don't do a lot of gore, and I stray away from. I don't want to say violent imagery, but stuff that's a little, you know, it's a little more adult. There are plenty of other people doing that.
Oh yeah, it's all over the place. Sure.
And it's not that I don't enjoy it, you know, on some level, but in relation to the product that I put out into the world, I would rather it be a little bit more inclusive and approachable.
Yeah.
Again, because I would like to be, you know, like coaxing the new young fans.
Yeah, get the,
you know,
the
come
young
along,
ones
so.
to, you know,
Sure.
come into the fold. Yeah, I think that's awesome. Yep. Well, I got to say, I noticed that I did a little research, and you're a fan of Jim Steranko.
Oh, yes.
And Basil
Oh,
Gogos, and those are two of my faves as well. So I thought that was kind of cool, and give a shout out to those.
Jim
two guys.
Steranko and Bernie Wrightson were my biggest like illustration influences growing up.
Cool.
Like as a young kid and a comic
Both
book collector,
phenomenal,
it's just
by the way,
I mean
yeah.
at the time like I'm trying to think like the earliest Swamp Thing titles. I mean, to me, that was, you know, I was buying it off the rack at the time, and it was just, I just thought it was the greatest thing ever, and had been a lifelong fan of Wrightson in particular ever since. The work that Steranko was doing in the 70s was very interesting, very cutting edge, but his output was not quite as, you know, prolific like into the 80s. And
Sure,
things like
yeah.
this, you know, he kind of chose a different path. Very interesting character. I've met both guys in
Really?
person. Yeah. There's nobody like Jim Steranko.
He's a one of a kind.
He's a one of a kind. I mean, he's not cut from the same cloth as somebody like Stan Lee, but in relation to their, you know, their crystallized personality. I mean, there's that is, you know, like that's Jim Steranko. There's no two ways about it. You know,
He's a
like,
unique fellow.
He's a unique fellow. The only thing I could, I think if Bruce Campbell wanted to do a Jim Steranko impersonation,
Yeah.
he could pull it off.
Really?
I really do. If it's like, I don't know if you've read Bruce Campbell's books.
I read it, If Chins Could Kill.
So there was I can't remember which book it was from, but he wrote an excerpt about where he impersonated Robert Evans, the movie producer. And I've not met Robert Evans, who's since passed, but again, a very bold, kind of strong, very kind of old Hollywood character, very much like Jim Steranko, and I do think that Bruce Campbell would do an outstanding job of.
We should start,
It's
you know.
just
maybe-
just food for thought.
We should rally for that.
Just food for thought.
I'm a huge Bruce Campbell fan, so I think that would be phenomenal.
But yeah, big strength up. I met Bernie Wrightson. I'm trying to think what year it was at K&B Studios, where I was actually interviewing for a makeup artist position that I turned down.
Oh, you did?
Which is a whole nother interview for another day. But as I was leaving the successful interview at K&B, I was halfway back to my hotel, and a friend of mine who got me the interview at the shop calls me and says, "You have to turn around wherever you are because Bernie Wrightson just came in the shop, and he's hanging out." And she knew what a huge influence that he was for me as an artist. And he had just done conceptual work for the monsters in the movie The Faculty.
Oh, wow.
So that was already in the can, and he had been hired to do that work, and then K&B had done all of the physical effects for that movie. And so, like, he was just kind of, like a friend of the shop, and was just kind of, I know he had a home to go to, but he just seemed like he liked hanging out at the shop, and so I turned back around.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And met him, and I met him and his two young sons, and it was, I'll never forget it as long as I live. So
that's one of those.
Very gracious guy. Very, kind of.
You don't always get to meet, people you can sort of idolize.
Sure. Yeah. It was a huge. Again, it was just more. It fueled. I felt like I was onto something, and there was a reason for all of that stuff happening, and just like it was
some confirmation.
Quite a scene.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Okay, I want to talk to you about, I'm going to segue into the Trick or Treat Studios.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Can we talk a little bit about what you're doing for them?
Great people. Yeah. A couple of years ago, I had the opportunity to work with them on a consultation, kind of like a, how do I want to say it, from like a research and development standpoint. They had gotten the license for Lugosi cape reproduction.
Oh, wow.
So they had access to the main hero 1931 Dracula cape worn by Lugosi. There were several.
Who had that?
It was Bella Jr. They still had
wow.
the family still owned it. I'm not sure if I have this right, but I think they wanted to auction it off. I think there might have been an unsuccessful auction, but it didn't reach the numbers that they were going with. So that, to the best of my knowledge, they still have it. So if you, from like a licensee's standpoint, if you wanted to have access to it, to measure it and examine it, and in this particular case, Trick or Treat did a phenomenal reproduction of it that they offered commercially. The level of quality was second to none. I mean, it was as fine of a garment as you could buy of any kind,
Wow.
like regardless of the fact that it was, a cape, like prop reproduction. But I mean, like, I think it weighed 20 pounds.
So it was, it was fantastic.
It was the real deal. And so, as an offshoot of their Lugosi license and the fact that they were already going to put out this cape, I had a friend who was working at Trick or Treat who knew that I had already been producing my own medallion reproduction on my own, not licensed, but as kind of like an art piece. And I was hand casting them and finishing them all individually, basically one at a time. And I had been doing it for several years, pretty successfully. But I had I felt like it had, like run its course. But Trick or Treat, because they had the license and they felt like, well, we're already putting out the cape, like, would you be interested in helping us put out a medallion reproduction? And I had questions, obviously, like what were they going to make it out of?
Sure.
And what was the price point? Because I was really hoping that it was going to be like affordable prop reproduction that your garden variety fan could afford. Okay. If I saw this, I'd buy it.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
I mean, it's, to me, that's what all of the stuff is about. It's all stuff that I would buy, if I saw it. I mean, and if it doesn't, like I said, if it's a property that's never had any merchandising made, that seems like a lost opportunity.
Like this portrait.
Oh yeah, the Jane Wilder portrait.
Wow, I know I've never seen one of these.
Yeah, so
I mean, this is just
so many years ago, I did a full size hand-painted reproduction of the portrait from the film for a friend.
Oh, full size.
Full size, and it still hangs in their home, to the best of my knowledge. And I can't really remember. I think I was probably at a thrift shop or something like that, and I saw a frame like this. These are all repurposed, like a quote-unquote upcycled vintage frames. And I found a couple different styles of this, but they're all kind of like in this glass cameo style that I thought was really suitable to just prints of the painting itself that I had reproduced. So having always had been a young Frankenstein fan since when it first came out.
That's a classic.
It was one of those movies that I wasn't supposed to watch as a kid. At the time, it was for adults. But I mean, honestly, in retrospect, it's incredibly tame. It's quaint.
Oh yes.
But it's always, and it's black and white. Probably the best horror spoof that's ever been filmed. So that was always on my short list to do a painting of, or to do some type of rendering. So long story short, I wound up doing the painting and then offering prints in these kind of like vintage style frames. As I was doing reference for the original painting, which there was precious little of at the time, I came to understand and then ultimately find the photograph of Gene Wilder that they shot as a reference point to paint the painting. So there was a black and white photograph of him in costume against a white background that was obviously repainted for the film with a dark background. Well, through the course of doing research in my reproduction painting, I found out the historic, like the costume he was wearing, the jacket, and the medal are both historically significant. Like the jacket is from a French Science Academy, and the medal itself is I'm trying to think of what it's called. It's we'll get back to that later. It has a academic significance. In reality, I mean, I think they chose it for graphic impact for the film itself, and it doesn't really equate to the character. But and this is a long rambling story, but through the course of doing research for a reproduction painting that I wanted to do, I found and purchased the original jacket that Gene Wilder wore for the shot.
Wow.
I actually found 3 identical jackets being sold online through like a Western costume sale. They would dump old costume inventory from time to time. Stuff would go up for auction, people would buy it. But it wasn't, I mean, no one knew what it was. Then again, there were 3 jackets in different sizes. They were all identical in different sizes and kind of in different states of distress. I bought all 3 for the painting so that I could have reference material. It was very affordable. I don't think I paid more than $200 for all 3 jackets.
Wow, fantastic.
Because they were not in the greatest of shape. They weren't something that you could wear. But I thought, well, at the worst, I could buy the jackets, use them for a reference, and then just turn around and resell them.
Sure, yeah.
It wouldn't take a loss or anything like that. Well, once I had all 3 jackets together, I noticed that of the 3, one was not the same. The buttons were on the wrong side, and the stitching was different. Well, I had the original photograph of Gene Wilder in the studio shot, and the jacket in front of me, and I had 2 other jackets to compare it against. Well, all of the hand stitching was hand done. Each jacket was unique to its own, and the 3rd jacket that was the most different, but still the same, was a stitch for stitch match for the photograph of Gene Wilder that he sat for the original painting.
So the oddball jacket.
So the oddball jacket was the one that he wore, which I still have. I kept. I sold the other 2, but that just goes to show you a simple project of basically reproducing a
painting.
Yeah.
Led to a completely and totally different journey.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm not a collector, but I acquired things.
Sure.
You know, and it's usually through like trying to find reference
Research.
You know, I've got tons of stills. I'm trying to think. Again, we could do a whole other show on stuff like this. I recently purchased the pith helmet that Lou Costello wore in Abbott Costello Meet the Mummy.
Really?
It's ridiculous.
Phenomenal.
It's a ridiculous story. It was owned by a Disney animator who was a friend of Lou Costello's, and when he passed, like all of his personal belongings and things were kind of sold to the wind, and there wasn't a whole lot of information on it. They were just like, we think this. It had his name written inside of it, and it's a very unique style, and it's not in very good shape. So when somebody kind of said what it was a weird thing to not be truthful.
Yeah.
So I did a little research and found out what it was, and I didn't spend a lot of money for it, but and if you saw it at a garage sale, you'd walk right past it.
You wouldn't even know.
It's not anything that you'd know, but as somebody who's, you know, like constantly on the lookout for like research material and, you know,
Sure.
like just doing deep dives for certain very specific things, we'll circle back around and we'll do a show on maybe just that stuff.
On Instagram, you can find Jeff Carlson's amazing work on Maniac Monsters.
Yep, that's right.
Okay, Facebook, we're looking at is it Maniac Monsters Designs?
I think that's right. Maniac Monsters Designs, and then
I'm saying it wrong.
That's okay. It's Maniac. It's just a play on the word maniac. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty easy to find on Instagram and Facebook. And,
okay, and then eBay.
And
Still do eBay?
I have a limit. So now I have a Shopify site.
Oh, okay.
That's linked through my Instagram bio. So if you look me up on Instagram, Maniac Monsters, it's there's a if you go up to the left hand corner, I have a Shopify pull down. It takes you right to my own store. I sell some stuff on eBay. I just kind of thought I had so many listings on eBay. I thought, this is silly. This is time to just, open a bona fide shop. So my girlfriend, who's a lot more savvy at that kind of thing,
With computers,
she helped me sort it out. It's good to have her as I'll call it a collaboration, because she's a fan of the work as well. Rebecca Lord is her name, and she's looking at it through a different kind of lens.
Sure.
So she'll tell me, that's not how people do things anymore, Grandpa.
Sounds like our son.
And then we'll rethink things. It's great for me because I admittedly I'm far too close to a lot of this material, and it's helpful to have that kind of perspective and have somebody who's able to see it from a bit of a distance.
Yeah, it can kind of navigate you through that.
If I were doing this, this would be confusing to me, or like what you might want to consider is, like putting out some type of Instagram reels or something, it's just like, and so all of that's been really helpful. It throws a wider net. It's all about access and people being able to find you and quickly.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's key. I'll use whatever tool I can. So I mean, when it comes to social, it's great. I love it. It's a huge part of what I do in terms of like promotion and just like communication. Communication is key. But then the Shopify is that's commerce, and that helps fund everything else. I'm not currently doing any vending or conventions. I hope to, if not the end of this year, maybe early next year, making the rounds. Or Hound, Mask Fest.
Okay, the big ones.
Yeah, the big ones. I'd like to do some stuff on the East Coast, just because I'm not too sure of things like that. I was doing Monsterpalooza and saw Monsterpalooza for quite a while. When I was living on the West Coast, it was a little more convenient.
Were you out there for a while?
I was in the San Francisco area for about 4 years. And again, we can
could talk
Another
about,
episode,
we could
right?
talk about we could talk about my West Coast experience and working with Bob Burns and, a bunch of other work. So, yeah, we didn't even get into any drill suit work.
Really?
So that's for another time.
Yeah.
We'll couch that.
We'll have to do this again for sure.
Yes, sir.
So anyway, you could Google Jeff Carlson, I'm quite sure.
Probably could.
And find him. Google Maniac Monsters.
Yeah.
I bet you can find him that way. Or, of course, go to those things that I just mentioned. And I will be putting those on the screen as well. All right, well, that about wraps things up. I want to thank Jeff Carlson for taking the time out today to show us his amazing work and to talk to us and just give us some insight into the world of, being creative, being an amazing artist, and putting these products out for not just me to enjoy, but the world, because these are things you can't just find in any store. So thank you, Jeff Carlson. You're welcome. For sharing your time and your talents with the public.
Thank you.